Good morning, Guardians. Briar Rabbit here. Today I want to talk about content droughts in Destiny. I want to talk about a very specific thing that I think Bungie could do to help alleviate the pain players feel during content droughts in Destiny and increase long-term player satisfaction. Right now, we're in a content drought, right? Destiny, if you've been playing a ton of it, is not very rewarding for long-term players. Sure, if you haven't done all the raids yet, or if you haven't gotten all the gear out of the hardcore raid yet, then yeah, there's still stuff out there. If you still haven't gotten all the gear out of Trials of Osiris, sure, there's still stuff out there. But for the most part, for players that have played a ton of Destiny since release or since the Rise of Iron, there's not a whole lot out there. There's not a whole lot to go after. There's not a whole lot to motivate a player to keep playing Destiny. The carrot on a stick aspect of the looter shooter has basically disappeared. And that's a huge problem for Destiny. And it's one that I think is actually pretty easy to fix. Now, of course, in a content drought, players are going to say, well, we need more content. We need new content. That's a much harder problem to fix. That's, a very resource intensive problem to fix. But changing the way loot drops or adding long-term goals to loot drops in Destiny, I think is pretty easy to fix. And it could be done in a way that doesn't make Destiny feel punitive to people who don't have a ton of time to play it. So, over the last 2 years, the loot system in Destiny has changed a ton. In year one, it really rewarded players who had a ton of time to play. Getting all the exotics was, frankly, very difficult. Getting all of the gear out of a raid was very difficult. It took a lot of play sessions to get all that stuff. Everybody remembers the Forever 29 meme of the original Vault of Glass and trying to get all of the exotics. Hell, I didn't get all the exotics in year one of Destiny until about August. It took me forever. And that can be really punitive to players who don't have as much time as me to play Destiny, right? Players who have 5 hours a week to play Destiny don't want to see an exotic only available to players who have played the game for 1,000 hours, right? Because that's out of their reach. It's not even conceivable to a player that only has 5 hours a week to play. What I don't want to do is alienate those players. I want the loot drops to actually remain pretty much the same they are now. If you run the raid 4 or 5 times, I think you should get 99% of the gear that's available in that raid, right? I think you should get all the armor, all the weapons, and feel like each time you went through that raid, you had a rewarding experience. I think that is good for Destiny. But I would like to see the addition on top of the system that we have now of long-term goals in Destiny. Now, what do I mean by long-term goals? I mean things that take a player a long time to achieve. And I'm going to pull something out of Call of Duty that I think would really work well, and I think it really explains my point. In older Call of Duty games, now this system has changed more recently, but in the older ones, you had a system where kills with a weapon would unlock sights and scopes and stocks and all that stuff for a weapon. It would do it fairly quickly, right? You didn't have to play, 1,000 hours of Call of Duty to get everything you needed for a weapon unlocked. However, there was a longer term goal that was a little bit hidden, and those were the weapon skins. After you got, let's say, 500 kills with a weapon, you'd unlock a weapon skin. After you got 750 kills, and then 1,000 kills, and then 2,000 kills. And on it went, you'd unlock more and more skins for a weapon. I think a system exactly like that would work wonderfully in Destiny. And I'll point to the ornament system, which I think is being wasted right now in Destiny. Having it be a for-pay system, I think, is really boring and no fun at all. However, imagine if in Destiny you unlocked a ornament for the Hawkmoon after you got 1,000 kills in PvP, and then another one for 2,000 kills, and another one for 5,000 kills, and on it went until eventually you maxed out, let's say, some ridiculous number like 10,000 kills with the Hawkmoon in PvP would unlock some super cool ornament. And they could do the same thing on the PvE side with separate ornaments, right? These are just skins. They're just, small modifications to these weapons. They don't improve the performance of the weapon at all. They just make it look a little bit different. They serve as a trophy for your use of the weapon over time. And once you got all of them for the Hawk Moon, you could move on to Thorn, or you could move on to the Suros regime. It would create a system that gave long-term players of Destiny a reason to keep using these weapons, to unlock these skins, these ornaments for the guns they love, and maybe for the guns they don't love. A gun like Drake's Promise would still have these rewards, right? 1,000 kills, 2,000 kills, 5,000 kills, 10,000 kills with the Uber Tuber would unlock this really cool skin for it. And that'd be something of an achievement, right? You know, your friends would say, holy shit, you got the 10,000 kill, skin with the Uber Tuber? That's insane, man. The Drake's Promise sucks. I can't believe you achieved that. I'm like, yeah, man, that's pretty cool. And then maybe if you got all of them, right? If you unlocked all of the skins, you'd unlock, a brand new skin. Call of Duty had like this diamond camo that could only be unlocked if you got all of the skins for a certain weapon type. Something like that would increase the long-term play of Destiny because it would give you something to work toward. When people don't have something to work toward, it decreases the amount of engagement they have with a game. And I think something like this would really help. Now, it doesn't have to be just based around weapons and skins, right? There's something you could do to the raid, I think, that would be really engaging and really fun for long-term players. Now, right now, multiple clears of a raid will eventually get you the armor and weapons you need, and it doesn't take that long. I'm guessing around 4 to 5 clears, and basically everybody's going to have all the weapons and all the armor out of the Wrath of the Machine raid. That's my guess. I think that's pretty accurate. In the past, let's say with the Vault of Glass, that number was much, much higher. It would take 20, 25, 30 to get all of the weapons, all of the armor out of Vault of Glass. Some of the things in the Vault of Glass had such a low drop rate that for me, I didn't get them until year 2. Year 2 out of the Vault of Glass. It was incredible. The Praetorian Foil is that thing for me. For some reason, that gun just would not drop out of the Vault of Glass for me. I didn't get it until year 2. I don't advocate going back to low drop rates for weapons and armor. I think you would get a return of players being upset that some things felt out of reach, right? You'd return of the Forever 29 meme that we saw in year 1. I don't want that. I want to keep players who don't have a lot of time to play Destiny happy. So 4 to 5 clears should get you basically all of the weapons and armor out of a raid. I like that system. But I would like to see a long-term goal added to the raid, and that would be an ultra rare variant. The ultra rare variant would be mostly cosmetic. Maybe it had a little more shimmer to it. It was just a little shinier. It just looked a little different. It stood out enough that you could recognize it on one of your teammates, and maybe, just maybe, it had an extra perk on it. Something that would only help in the raid. Somebody who spent a ton of time in the raid. Somebody who has, let's say, 20, 30, 40 completions of a raid would be awarded these things randomly and at a very low drop rate. And eventually, if you spent enough time in the raid over the course of a DLC, you could collect a whole set, and maybe you were marginally more powerful. Maybe those perks were just a little bit better than the perks that are on the hard mode gear. Not much better. Mostly it'd be a cosmetic thing, but it'd be enough for some players to go into that raid 3 times a week in hopes to get that ultra rare gear. Now, for players that only have 5 hours a week to play Destiny, they'd still get the gear they needed out of the raid, right? The cool gear that you get, the cool weapons, the cool armor that you get out of a raid, you'd still get that stuff with a fairly consistent drop rate. But that ultra rare set, that really, really elite set, it's not necessarily better, but it looks different, and it marks a player who's done the raid a lot of times. It marks somebody who has a ton of experience with the raid. I think that would really increase the replayability of a raid, because right now, I've got everything I need out of the Wrath of the Machine raid. Aside from just doing it with friends to laugh and have fun, or to bring new players through it to kind of see through their eyes the joy of completing the raid for the first time, I don't have any motivation to do the raid right now. That wasn't true with Vault of Glass. I continually had motivation to do Vaulted Glass because I was still looking for the Praetorian foil. That motivation is gone from Destiny, and I think it needs to come back. I don't want to see the 5-hour-a-week player get screwed because I want long-term goals. What I do want is for the 5-hour-a-week player to be happy and the 100-hour-a-week player to be happy, or the 60-hour-a-week player to be happy, or whatever a high amount of hours per week is for Destiny. I want both of those sets of players to be happy. I want both of those sets of players to get rewarded based on performance. And I think this could be the way to do it, by introducing long-term rewards and goals with rewards that are cosmetic, mainly cosmetic, but are cool. You know, they act as trophies for doing awesome shit in Destiny. But that's just my opinion. And what I'd love to hear in the comments below are, A, do you think this is a good idea? Should there be long-term goals in Destiny, or does that alienate players who don't have as much time to play the game? And B, if you think there should be long-term goals, give me some examples of awesome ones. I'd love to hear some, ideas for long-term goals and rewards that would make long-term play in Destiny more rewarding and more fun. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.